The Ghost Army Gold Medal celebration starts in 60 seconds.
The Ghost Army Gold Medal Celebration.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Rick Beyer, president of the Ghost Army Legacy Project, and today is a day to shout and cheer. We're going to pay tribute to the Ghost Army veterans and celebrate the award of the Congressional Gold Medal to the men of the Ghost Army. And these online festivities are for everyone interested in the Ghost Army, but especially directed at the surviving veterans, many of whom are here with us. You'll get to see them, and family members of all Ghost Army veterans. I want you guys to appreciate what a huge deal this is, the highest honor Congress can bestow, a tribute from the American people. The news has literally generated front-page stories across the country. Headlines remembering and honoring the Ghost Army and the soldiers who served in it. We've barely been able to keep track of all the accolades that have poured in. Since we cannot easily gather in one place right now, this is our chance to celebrate together. Thanks for joining in, and I hope you'll make some noise, virtual noise, in the chat window to let us know you're here and share any words that you'd like the veterans to know. I have to tell you, people lined up to pay tribute to the men of the Ghost Army for today's program, which honors the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops and the 3133rd Signal Company Special. We will hear from senators, congressmen, folks representing the National World War II Museum and the U.S. Army PSYOPs troops, family members, and others. We'll learn more about the history of the Gold Medal and the 7-year lobbying effort to have it awarded to the Ghost Army, which has just happened. And most importantly, we'll hear from the veterans themselves. We are joined today by surviving veterans of the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops. You can see a few of them on our screen now. Let's go to the group view so that we can see everybody. We'll get a chance to hear from each of you guys. In fact, I'm going to ask you to introduce yourselves in a moment. But first, let the hoopla begin with a glorious tribute from the Senate sponsor of the bill, Ed Markey of Massachusetts, who has been steadfast in his support from the very beginning.
Hello, everyone. I'm Senator Ed Markey, and I'm honored to share a few words today with the Ghost Army Legacy Project in celebration of the long overdue honor to a group of American heroes. It was your tireless advocacy that made passage of the bipartisan legislation possible. I could not be happier to have led the bill that awards the highest honor the legislative branch has to bestow, the Congressional Gold Medal, to the Ghost Army. It took several years of advocacy, but with your help and the testimonies of those veterans who are still with us and the families of veterans who have passed on, we got across the finish line. The Ghost Army was instrumental to Allied successes during World War II. However, for over 40 years, their bravery was only known by those in the military brass who handed them down the orders, and by the Axis forces who were outwitted by inflatable tanks, sound effects, and other inventive tactics that gave our forces a critical edge. The Ghost Army deserves recognition for allowing thousands of U.S. GIs to return home to their families at the war's end. They finally got the recognition on February 1st, 2022, when President Biden signed the Ghost Army bill into law, making immortal their contributions to victory in World War II and victory for the cause of liberty. And I am proud that their dedication and bravery will now be known by millions of Americans today and in the generations to come. The men of the Ghost Army now belong to the ages. Thank you for being here to honor their legacy. They are a generation of great Americans.
Thank you so much, Senator Markey, and we so appreciate your support. And we are joined today, amazingly, I think, by 7 Ghost Army veterans. And I want to give you guys a chance to introduce yourself. And I'm going to have to do it the way it appears on my screen so that I can keep track of everybody. I'm going to start with Mark Milardi. If you could introduce yourself to our audience.
Yeah. I'm proud to be here, and I started my Army service with the 406 Combat Engineers with Commander Reb, Captain Reb, which was a great man.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
And I had the job of inflating the air. I had running the air compressor and inflating whatever had to be done. And by the way, it had to be done in the dark. It had to be done at night so no one could see what we're doing.
Mention the men who were missing. The men who were missing.
I wish more of the men that are gone that could be here and be a part of this great celebration.
Well, thank you, Mark. I wish they could be too. And I wish we could have done this when more people were alive, but I'm so pleased that you guys are here.
I just want to add, I'm proud to be in this 23rd Division with all these very talented and courageous people that I'm associated with when I came into the 23rd Headquarters Division.
Well, thank you so much, Mark Milardi. We appreciate your joining us today. John Christman, could you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, I'm John Christman, and I was in the 406th Engineer Combat Company. And myself and 3 other guys in the squad, we spent a lot of time guarding half-track with the speakers on them when they ran the speakers for the tank columns. And we did a lot of that, and we saw a lot of flares at night and heard a lot of ammunition go over. Yep. We had a lot of fun doing that because some of the guys had little transistor radios and they would listen to Berlin Salad the next day, and that's how we knew everything was working right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, John, so much for being here. My friend Nick Leo, could you introduce yourself to everyone?
Well, hi, Rick. I'm glad to be here. Boy, that's me when I was young. I gotta be so proud. Never in my life would I think I'd be to this position. And I'm happy to. I hope I hang around to see the medal. I'm 99 years old, so it just the odds against me.
But you've got a goal. You've already beaten the odds getting to 99, and now you've got a goal.
Yeah. For you guys got here. I was a radio man in the Ghost Army, and we lost another buddy of mine, Bill Anderson, this yesterday morning. And,
yes.
He was in wire and telephone. I used to speak to him every single day. I spoke to a lot of the veterans, and some of them spoke to my wife because they met her in France. So the Ghost Army, boy, they were great guys. I've never met such great guys. They were like brothers. And I don't know what else to say. I mean, it's nice to see you guys, and I'm glad to be with you.
Well, we'll have a lot more to say to you, Nick. So that's okay, and you can reserve your thoughts till later. And can we also bring up Bill Knowles and Seymour Nussenbaum? I think they're in our waiting room. Bernie Bluestein, can you introduce yourself to everyone here?
Sure. My name is Bernard Bluestein, better known as Bernie. I was born in Cleveland, Ohio. I'm presently living in Schaumburg, Illinois, which is a suburb of Chicago.
Okay, thank you, Bernie. And Bernie served in the 603rd Camouflage Engineers. And George Dramis. George served in the Ghost Army. George, can you hear me there? And can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, George Dramis. That's me right there. The picture taken somewhere in Luxembourg, Belgium. I don't remember anymore. I was born in 1924 in Ashtabula, Ohio, up on Lake Erie, 60 miles east of Cleveland. And got married when I was in Tennessee with my girlfriend from high school. Was married for 75 years before she passed away. I'm the oldest one in this residence where I happen to be living now in a beautiful place. I'm the old guy here, but I'm still in pretty good shape. I can still lick my weight in wildcats. Long time exerciser and runner. But I was in the radio platoon. I did a lot of crazy stuff. I had the privilege of being one of 9 men picked to go into the invasion from the outfit. They put us in Wales for a while. Mission was canceled. We were supposed to fake the 9th Infantry Division because there were 9 guys or 10 guys from the 9th Infantry Division with us to provide cover for us. But the mission was canceled because of German troop movements. So I wound up driving 2 intelligence officers for about 44 days. I was privileged to see a huge meeting of Eisenhower and all the staff, Patton, you name it, Montgomery, they were all there. For a 19-year-old kid, it was really something.
Wow.
But I had a hell of an experience for over a month. Driving all over Normandy, seeing everything, every infantry outfit, everything going on. Nobody else did that. I look back on that now and think how lucky I was. Actually, lucky to get through the war, like many of us sitting here right today.
Truly,
We're
you
the
guys,
lucky ones.
You are the lucky ones. I want to introduce Bill Knowles, who's down there in Florida. And Bill, if you can hear me, could you introduce yourself?
My name is Bill Knowles, and I want to honor my teammates, Al Munchin and Dave Martino, and to all the ghosts, have a good life.
Bill was a radio man too. And he actually landed on Omaha Beach on D-Day with the 5th Rangers.
Yes, so I thank you so much, Bill, and I should mention that it is kind of amazing of the survivors that we have with us. We have 3 who were landed early because Seymour, so Nick Leo also landed just shortly after the invasion, prior to the larger body of the Ghost Army soldiers coming ashore. So that's pretty amazing representation here. Last but by no means least, Seymour Nussenbaum. Could you introduce yourself? You're muted, Seymour. You're unmuted. We can hear you now.
Okay. I said you already introduced me, so here I am.
Well, tell us what unit you served in, or something about yourself.
Headquarters. I'm trying to remember what it was. H&S Company.
There you go.
And Bernie and I served in the same company, so we know each other a long time.
And you just you actually reconnected at the National World War II Museum 2 years ago when we opened the exhibit there.
Our job was to, among other things, was to manufacture the fake shoulder patches that the troops did when they went on their missions. And we had a whole factory set up in Luxembourg to do that. And we also were sent out to put fake numbers on the bumpers of the vehicles.
Okay. I don't want to interrupt you, Seymour.
Yeah.
But thank you. Thank you so much for introducing yourself. And I so appreciate all you guys being here to receive the thanks of so many people. If you could see, and if you can't see, I hope you'll go back and look later. We already have hundreds and hundreds of comments from people who are appreciating what you're doing here. And so that is so exciting to see. And we'll be getting back to you again later in the program to let you share your thoughts further. But I want to talk about this medal you're receiving, the Congressional Gold Medal. What is it? Well, it's Congress's highest expression of national appreciation for distinguished achievements and contributions by individuals or institutions. More than 170 medals have been awarded over the last 250 years. And here's a little bit more about the medal's history.
The Continental Congress, meeting in Philadelphia, awarded the first gold medal in 1776 to General George Washington for his, quote, wise and spirited conduct in bringing about the British evacuation of Boston. The medal was designed and struck in France. Congress initially awarded the medal primarily for military achievements, but eventually broadened the scope to include recognition of excellence and service in a wide array of fields. The medal has been bestowed on such diverse individuals as the Wright brothers, Sir Winston Churchill, Rosa Parks, Robert Frost, boxer Joe Louis, golfer Jack Nicklaus, singer Harry Chapin, and Mother Teresa. The first group of World War II soldiers to be honored with a gold medal was the Navajo Code Talkers in the year 2000. Since then, medals have been awarded to 15 other World War II units or groups, including the Tuskegee Airmen, the Monuments Men, the WASPs, or Women Air Force Service Pilots, the Doolittle Raiders, Merrill's Marauders, and Rosie the Riveter, standing in for all the women who worked on the home front to support the war effort. And now this high honor has been bestowed on the World War II deception units, collectively known as the Ghost Army. In the words of the bill, which has now become law, the United States is eternally grateful to the soldiers of the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops and the 3133rd Signal Service Company for their proficient use of innovative tactics during World War II, which saved lives and made significant contributions to the defeat of the Axis powers.
And I just want to emphasize that those words are now law. They are as close to written in stone as they can be. You're in very good company with all those other folks, and what's more, I think you deserve to be there. A lot of people have been asking about the medal itself. The U.S. Mint will produce one medal made from 300 grams of gold, which I think is about $20,000 worth of gold, and the medal will be presented to the Smithsonian. Bronze duplicates will be available for sale to the public, and we plan to purchase one for each of the surviving veterans. The design process will take about 2 years. That's what Nick was referring to. It's what he's got to stay around for. And we expect there will be an official presentation ceremony in Congress at that time. And hopefully we can all gather together as part of that. Senator Markey and Representative Kuster, who are the sponsors of the bill, appointed 3 official liaisons to make sure the medal accurately represents and appropriately represents the Ghost Army. So I am serving as one of the liaisons. Also, Roy Icorn, son of veteran George Martin, he'll represent the 23rd, and Stephanie Leach, daughter of veteran Walter Leach, she will represent the 3133rd. And we'll share more about that process as we learn more in the coming weeks and months. I imagine this is a sublime, perhaps somewhat unreal moment for those of you who are family members of veterans and have waited for this so long. I want to introduce 2 people whose fathers were in the Ghost Army. Andrew Mead, whose dad was in the 3133rd, which operated in Italy, and Bert Edelstein, whose father was in the 23rd.
Congratulations to the Ghost Army members and their families on this historic receipt of the Congressional Gold Medal. My name is Andrew Mead, and my father, Donald Mead, was a member of the 3133rd Sonic Deception Company that operated in Italy during the last year of the war. My father told us about his unit moving to the front lines as the Germans established fortified retreat positions across the boot of Italy. The 3133rd played loud, high-fidelity recordings of an armored division rolling in overnight. Next morning, the Germans were seen looking through binoculars at what they thought was an entire Allied tank division in the woods. The Germans were fooled into diverting their armored units from the actual Allied attack points. My father said the Germans would fire pot shots and occasionally direct artillery fire just to let the Allied forces know that they were still there. It is a fascinating part of military history. We are all deeply grateful to the Congress of the United States and to Rick Beyer and his organization for seeing that these creative and courageous men are receiving this well-deserved recognition. Thank you so much.
I am proud to be the son of Ghost Army soldier Philip, who served in Signal Company Special. My father died in 1965 when I was 12 years old. He took the secret of his special Ghost Army service with him to the grave. As a boy, I would ask him what he did in World War II. He would brush off my questions, never indicating there was anything special about his service. 2 years ago, I accidentally learned of his service in time to join Rick Beyer and the Ghost Army Legacy Project in pursuit of the passage of the Ghost Army Congressional Gold Medal Act. It has been a labor of love as I endeavor to honor my father and his 1,100 Ghost Army brethren. I ache when I think about never having had the opportunity to speak with my dear father about his special service, but glad that I have connected with him through my service on this project. It was a thrill to connect with the late Sergeant Stanley Nance, who served alongside my father, who described him as a fine man.
I know.
His great-granddaughter Madeline told me he never said that about anyone. Dad, your secret has been revealed and shared with your family. We know what you did and proud of your special service. We can now honor you and all the Ghost Army soldiers. Congratulations to us all.
Yes, congratulations to us all. And I'm sure there are many family members here. I see some of your messages, and I do encourage you, if you haven't already, to add a message of congratulation to your husband, father, grandfather, great-grandfather, uncle, in the chat window. Both Bert and Andy were among the dozens of people who took part in the lobbying effort. We managed to mobilize a remarkable grassroots campaign that many of you were a part of to convince more than 350 representatives and senators to co-sponsor the bill. That was a journey all its own. New Hampshire Representative Annie Kuster first introduced the Ghost Army Congressional Gold Medal Act nearly 7 years ago, in the spring of 2015.
Today, I rise to honor a group of men who played a crucial and unique role in the Allied victory in World War II.
Massachusetts Senator Ed Markey introduced the Senate bill the following year.
Their mission was secret, but their contributions are now known and must be recognized with the highest honor that Congress can bestow.
Rounding up the necessary co-sponsors required years of lobbying by a determined group of people.
So you go into each individual office as if you're entering another country. And in some cases, you discover that you are almost an illegal alien in that office.
Our team included some highly effective teenage lobbyists.
Upwards of 80 to 100 offices I met with in person.
And you were wearing high heels all that time.
Yep. It was clip, 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 clip. It was long days. I don't think I saw the sun the entire week.
I learned a lot from this. It's a real eye opener. Truly once in a lifetime experience. I really loved this.
It was, to be completely honest, extremely overwhelming to be lobbying my first time in person. But I loved every bit of it. Yeah. It was so fun and exhilarating to do. All the people in the congressional offices were absolutely astonished, and it's just crazy to see that first look on their faces once again, and it's just a look that I'll never forget.
While some traveled to Capitol Hill, many others lobbied remotely, especially after COVID set in.
I printed out every single email that I sent out, and I actually scanned them all into my computer. I think I probably sent, roughly maybe 1,000 emails.
Still others wrote a series of op-eds that appeared in newspapers around the country. These grassroots efforts built bipartisan support, one member of Congress at a time.
Their mission was very simple: fool Adolf Hitler.
This is such a great story. This bill is long overdue.
By May 2021, the bill had gathered the required 290 co-sponsors in the House, and it came to the floor.
They risked their lives to draw forces away from American combat units so that they would face less resistance. This required a special kind of courage.
This is one of the most amazing things I've had the opportunity to support since I've been in Congress.
Today, I ask my colleagues, again, both Democrat and Republican, to join me in giving these men and women the recognition that they really deserve.
More intensive lobbying brought us the 67 co-sponsors needed in the Senate. At the end of a long legislative day in December 2021, the gold medal passed the Senate in most undramatic fashion.
I ask unanimous consent that the Markey substitute amendment at the desk be considered and agreed to, that the bill as amended be considered, read a third time and passed, the Markey amendment to the title be considered and agreed to, and that the motions to reconsider be considered made and laid upon the table.
Without objection.
Because of some minor changes, the bill had to go back to the House one more time in January of this year.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the House suspend the rules and pass the bill S-1404, the Ghost Army Congressional Gold Medal Act.
To this day, combat deception units in the Army learn about the tactics that were used by the Ghost Army so many years ago. In this sense, the brave actions of the Ghost Army still are keeping Americans safe to this day.
Stories of the creativity and innovation displayed by the members of the Ghost Army during World War II read like something straight out of a Hollywood blockbuster script. The only thing missing is a Hollywood ending where the brave members of the Ghost Army are finally recognized for their life-saving contributions to defeating the Axis powers during World War II.
The question is, will the House suspend the rules and pass Senate 1404? Those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. In the opinion of the chair, 2/3 being in the affirmative, The rules are suspended, the bill is passed, and without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
And then on to the president's desk. And of course, the president signed that bill on Tuesday, February 1st. So many people were involved in the lobbying effort. I was awestruck by how many folks picked up the baton and ran with it on behalf of you guys. We had an army of people emailing, calling, visiting offices, advocating every way they could. So please thank everyone who did that. And if you're one of those people, take a bow, claim some credit. You helped make this happen. We touched on 3 teenagers involved in the lobbying effort, and they are here to offer their own congratulations.
Hi, I'm Caleb Sinwell, and I'm from Nashville, Iowa. I helped lobby Congress for the Ghost Army Congressional Golden Medal Act, and I'd like to take the opportunity right now to thank all the Ghost Army veterans of World War II, because I've enjoyed hearing all your stories, and you guys are heroes who have saved countless lives through your sacrifices and dedication. I promise you right now that I will continue to tell these stories throughout my years to come. It's been such an amazing experience for me as I contacted senators and representatives from across the entire United States. And I believe wholeheartedly that you guys should get this recognition that you deserve. Thank you all so very much for your service.
I am Madeline Christensen. I have been working with this bill for the past 4 years, and I am so excited that it has now officially passed and been signed into law. I am the great-granddaughter of Staff Sergeant Stanley Nance, who was a veteran of the Signal Company. And I know that as I've been working to get this bill for him and for all the veterans of the Ghost Army, that they are so happy and proud to see their service finally recognized. And I am just ecstatic and so relieved to see their efforts being honored and for their service being known to the American government, and hopefully all people can start to learn their story. I have loved working with Congress and being able to learn that anyone can do something that is passionate to them, and I just am so happy. Thank you so much.
Hello, veterans of the Ghost Army. My name is Reese Holmes, and I have been working for the past few years to get to this extraordinary milestone. I am elated and beyond excited for you all to receive this Congressional Gold Medal. It was absolutely astonishing and remarkable, everything that you did for the Allies during World War II. This medal is extremely well deserved. It has been and continues to be an honor to spread your story. Congratulations!
I love the enthusiasm, blown away by what they accomplished. They moved mountains, they really did. I want to add that both Madeline and Caleb were on TV in their respective states this weekend, getting kudos that they richly deserve. We heard from Senator Markey up front. Now we want to hear from more representatives and senators who were instrumental in making this happen and who are eager to speak their piece to the Ghost Army family. I have to start with Congresswoman Annie Kuster of New Hampshire. The gold medal never would have happened without my friend Annie, my classmate from Dartmouth, class of 1978. That's a call out to my class. How old does that make us? From the moment Annie heard about the story, she became an enthusiastic supporter. Time and time again, she stepped up. Her energy was unflagging. Her staff was incredible, especially Will Pisano, who was there from the beginning and who I'm almost certain wishes that I hadn't mentioned his name, but I did anyway. Annie was almost tearful when she called with the news the morning the president signed the bill, and I am thrilled that she can join us today.
Hello, Ghost Army Legacy Project. It is my great pleasure to share some brief thoughts with you as we gather to celebrate President Biden signing the Ghost Army Congressional Gold Medal Act. There were 3 main sources of inspiration that helped me and my team push this bill through to final passage. First, Rick Beyer, I want to take a moment to recognize my friend and former classmate, Rick Beyer, for his incredible work leading this organization and our advocacy efforts to pass this bill. Rick approached me with the idea of awarding a Congressional Gold Medal to the Ghost Army back in 2015. Like many of you, the Ghost Army's creativity and heroism struck me as an important part of our history to remember. It's been nearly 7 years since I first introduced the legislation, and there were times that I didn't think we were going to get it done. But Rick's enthusiasm for the bill kept inspiring me to push forward and to persevere. Second, you, the members of the Ghost Army Legacy Project, getting 290 U.S. representatives and 67 U.S. senators to agree to anything is incredibly difficult. Your dedication to this effort and your persuasive outreach has made this all possible. Your work proves that dedicated citizens can still get legislation through Congress. The final and most important source of inspiration has been the Ghost Army veterans themselves. The Ghost Army is a reminder that courage comes in many shapes and sizes. In the case of the Ghost Army, courage came in their creativity. The Ghost Army used their artistic talents to save lives and quite literally change the course of our history. I hope we can all take this as a reminder to listen to creative ideas as we move forward. Thank you all for your extraordinary work to get this bill signed into law. And I look forward to celebrating with you the occasion when we award the gold medal to these distinguished units in the not too distant future.
Thank you so much, Annie Kuster, who was just such a big part of this. I'm so grateful for your efforts. Representative Chris Stewart of Utah, was the Republican co-lead in the House this last session. And we're grateful to him and his staff for helping bring on a lot of Republican co-sponsors to help us get to that magic number of 290. And he has a few words to say to the veterans as well.
Hey everybody, Congressman Stewart here. To those of you who served in the Ghost Army, thank you so much for your service. I hope you know that last week, President Biden signed legislation that I sponsored here in the House, went through the Senate, got to the President's desk, giving the Congressional Gold Medal to you for recognizing you and honestly your families and those other people around you who supported you and the sacrifice that you made. Thank you so much for helping to defend freedom and democracy. Thank you for your service to your country. Congratulations.
Two other senators who played a big role in helping make this happen. Senator Susan Collins of Maine stepped up to become the Republican co-lead in the Senate 5 years ago, and it was so important to have that bipartisan support. Senator Chuck Grassley of Iowa joined as a co-sponsor after talking to Caleb Sinwell, thanks Caleb, and became so enthused that he corralled 5 or 6 Senate Republicans on the floor of the Senate last November to help us reach the 67 co-sponsors needed there. Let's hear from them now.
It's an honor to join in this celebration of the Congressional Gold Medal that has been awarded to the Ghost Army. More than 1,100 soldiers from the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops and the 3133rd Signal Service Company volunteered for this perilous mission during World War II. One of those brave soldiers was Donald Mead Jr., the father of current Maine Supreme Court Justice Andrew Mead. In 1943, Don paused his studies at the University of Maine to join the Army and was deployed to Italy. Using inflatable tanks, speakers, and fake radio transmissions, his unit outmaneuvered and deceived the Nazis. At great personal risk, Don and his fellow soldiers successfully diverted enemy resources and saved countless American lives. The courage and resourcefulness of these top secret American Army units were pivotal across the European theater. Their operations were critical in the Battle of the Bulge, where my own father, Don Collins, earned 2 Purple Hearts and a Bronze Star. The efforts and contributions of the Ghost Army were classified for decades without its members receiving the recognition they deserved. I was therefore delighted to co-author the bipartisan bicameral bill to honor these unsung heroes with Congress's highest civilian award. May God bless these heroes, and may God bless America.
I want to congratulate the veterans of the Ghost Army Congressional Gold Medal. This is something that you rightly deserve. You played a very important role in helping defeat the enemy. You didn't get proper credit for it. This Congressional Gold Medal shows the appreciation of the American people for what you did to help us win the war. Thank you for fighting to preserve our freedoms and liberties. God bless you.
I want to thank all the senators and congressmen who supported this. You know, it is very easy these days to get cynical about our government, but here's proof that a group of passionate people without big corporate interests, pots of money, or celebrity spokesmen can make themselves heard and get a bill passed. And we appreciate all the members of Congress and all of the staffers who listened and acted when we came to them. The Ghost Army is not just a curious tale from the past. The deceptions that the veterans carried out still inspire and educate today's Army. Here's more on that and about how today's Special Forces view the Ghost Army of World War II. I am here with retired Brigadier General Ed Burley, U.S. Army. And Ed, you served much of your career in psychological operations, PSYOPs. You're still very involved with the PSYOPs community, and you also played an important role helping to convince Congress to award this gold medal to the Ghost Army. So you must be as excited about this as I am.
Absolutely. And what a wonderful day to celebrate some real heroes of World War II. You know, psychological operations, or PSYOP as we abbreviated in the modern Army, is about influencing foreign audiences, changing their opinions, adjusting their perceptions, demonstrating intent. And we take these influence actions to support government policies and our forces. The Ghost Army was one of the first major attempts at a fully integrated military deception operation. And we have had deceptions in the past all the way through history, going back to the Trojan horse. But it wasn't until the Ghost Army that we had a fully integrated visual, audio, and electronic deception in such a sophisticated manner as to completely fool the German army in World War II. One of the least known aspects of the Ghost Army's operations is their success in helping George S. Patton Jr.'s relief of the 101st Airborne Division when they were surrounded at Bastogne in Christmas 1944. Using counterfeit radio traffic, the Ghost Army maintained the impression that Patton's Third Army was still facing the Germans on the Siegfried Line, when in fact he had already pivoted north to break the siege of Bastogne and to turn the tide during the Battle of the Bulge. Now, our modern PSYOP forces owe a debt of gratitude to the pioneers of the Ghost Army, not only for their victories in World War II, but their legacy has paved the way for psychological operations as an important part of all our military operations. Their imaginative operations and courage in the face of enemy fire provide lessons that our troops study today in the schoolhouse to employ on modern battlefields. We also need to thank and congratulate the grassroots effort to award the World War II Ghost Army the Congressional Gold Medal. They are so deserving of this honor, and it's a real testimony to all of those who participated to make this happen and to bring it not only to Congress, but to the president's desk for signature.
Well, Ed, thank you very much for joining us. I know, that the surviving veterans who are on with us today must appreciate knowing that they, the stuff that they did 77 years ago still has an influence today, is helping keep our country safe today. Thank you for your service, and thank you for your assistance in honoring their service.
I'm just proud to be part of the unbroken lineage from those veterans to today in the modern PSYOP regiment. We really thank you, veterans, and honor your service through our training and our memory of you. Thank you.
And I want to note that I'm wearing, if you can see it, sort of see my PSYOP pin in honor of the connection between PSYOP and on the other side, the Ghost Army. Building on something that Ed said, this recognition is a testament to everyone involved in bringing the Ghost Army to the field of action. And that includes Major Ralph Ingersoll and Colonel Billy Harris, who dreamed up the unit, as well as Colonel Hilton Howell Rayleigh, Major Darrell Ripito, and the other folks at the Army Experimental Station, and many others. Now, this is their medal as well. Our next speaker deserves special recognition of his own. John Gaughan dove into this story years before I ever heard of it, and he wrote a meticulously researched book that I still refer to all the time. Truly, it's only about an arm's reach away on the shelf over there. And John also offered his insights in the Ghost Army documentary. Many of you who are veterans or family members probably have his book. I'm delighted he could be here to say a few words to you.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Gaughan. I'm the author of the book Ghosts of the ETO. And when I started writing the book with officers the likes of Cliff Simonson and John Walker, official recognition of the unit was the furthest from anyone's mind. Their main goals were to preserve what they had done and document it for history's sake, as well as for the sake of the Army, keeping its lessons learned intact. And were they alive today, I think that they would be not only astounded, but they'd be absolutely tickled to find out that the government was recognizing their work the way they had. So thanks very much.
Thank you so much, John, for all that you have done. In 2019, the Ghost Army Legacy Project donated its archive to the National World War II Museum in New Orleans. We also worked with that museum on the exhibit that opened there in March 2020, an exhibit which is coming to the Illinois Holocaust Museum here in the Chicago area in June of this year. And we continue to work with the museum today, gathering more materials to add to the Ghost Army collection in their archives. So 5 years ago, I think it was, I asked the museum CEO, Stephen Watson, if he would write a letter of support for the gold medal. He wrote a terrific letter that we used extensively in lobbying. I'm sure I included it in hundreds of emails. The museum's been a great partner, and Stephen joins us now to say a few words.
I'm Stephen Watson, President and CEO of the National World War II Museum in New Orleans. On behalf of all of us at the museum, I'd like to offer a heartfelt congratulations to you, the veterans of the Ghost Army, for receiving the tremendous recognition of the Congressional Gold Medal. Your service during World War II had a tremendous impact on the Allied victory. I'd also like to congratulate Rick Beyer and all the members of the Ghost Army Legacy Project for all the diligent work that you have done to make sure that this story is remembered and known, and of course, for leading the charge in receiving this tremendous national honor. We're proud to have been able to play a small part in paying tribute to these creative and resourceful men with our special exhibit, Ghost Army, the Combat Con Artists of World War II. So once again, let me offer my congratulations on behalf of the entire National World War II Museum to the members of the Ghost Army for receiving the Congressional Gold Medal.
Thank you, Stephen. In addition to the National World War II Museum, a number of organizations got behind this campaign, and their support was tremendously helpful. I call out a few of them: the American Legion, the National D-Day Foundation, the American Veterans Center, the Patton Foundation, the PSYOP Regimental Association, the Wright Military Museum, the Blackstone Valley Tourism Council, to name a few. I want to express my gratitude to all these organizations for taking a stand and for helping us make this happen. Yesterday, I received the sad news that Ghost Army veteran Bill Anderson from Kent, Ohio, passed away on Friday. Bill was 97 years old. He served in the Signal Company Special. Over the past couple of decades, Bill took it upon himself to gather as much information as he could about the unit from fellow veterans, and he was in close touch with many of them. As he mentioned earlier, he spoke daily to Nick Leo and other veterans until Bill was too sick to do so. Bill used to call me every few days to check in as well, and it was always my pleasure to speak with him, and I got to visit him at home a few times as well. Bill donated boxes of his research to the Ghost Army Legacy Project, and they are now safely ensconced at the World War II Museum, and we are pleased that his research will be preserved to benefit future historians. Thank you for your service, Bill, and farewell. There is someone else I want to remember today who is no longer with us. Liz Sales, my friend and co-author, who played such a huge role in this Ghost Army journey before she was felled by cancer last year. On this day of celebration and tribute, let's take a moment to remember Liz, and we are joined today by her daughter, Jessica Dow. Jessica, thank you so much for joining us.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me.
Your grandfather, Bill Sales, was in the Ghost Army. Your mom and I co-authored 2 books about the unit, and she was really the driving force behind those books. We worked together on several Ghost Army exhibits, including art exhibits at the Edward Hopper House in Nyack and the Salmagundi Club in New York City. She was a great friend and colleague and deeply involved in the gold medal effort, and I'm so sad that she passed away in September before that came to fruition. She was always so gung-ho about the Ghost Army. I think she would be thrilled with what's gone on. What do you think?
I agree. Yeah, I think she would be thrilled to know that this is going to help more people learn about the Ghost Army, and the story and the all of the art brought so much to her life, and I think that she would hope that it would bring that to other people's lives and even more people's lives now that we have this recognition.
Your grandfather was an artist. Your mom was an artist, a tremendous illustrator, especially of children's books. Do you think that gave her kind of any sort of special connection to the story?
Of course, yeah. I think nobody knows the tremendous impact that art can have on the world more than an artist that was raised by another artist.
Right.
And the Ghost Army was sort of that on a very large scale. These were artists that were not in the field of art, but they were making such a big difference, and that really spoke to her.
My family thinks that I talk about the Ghost Army all the time, like that it's all that I talk about, and they're 100% correct. Did you have the same thing going on in your household?
I think she talked about it just the right amount. I think it was great to see her be excited about something. She was so excited about it in a way that she was, not always excited about everything else that she was working on. And there were so many different things that have happened with the Ghost Army that there was always something new, some incredible news, some new development, a new artist family member who's come out of the work. So I think that it kept it fun and it kept it developing.
What do you think if she was here with us today, what do you think that she would want to say to the surviving veterans who have joined us on this live cast?
I think she would say thank you more than anything. She knew how big of a leap that probably was to go to Europe and become involved with this kind of experimental unit. And she would say thank you for their service, of course, and also thank you for saving your artwork, and thank you for saving all of these stories and for sharing them with, you know, her and yourself and me and everybody else who's been following the story.
And how about you? Is there anything else that you would want to say?
I suppose the sad part of this is that so many of the members of the Ghost Army aren't with us. You know, my grandfather's passed away. A couple of the other guys that we knew passed away. So I think this is also for the families, you know, myself and everybody else who have done what we can to keep these stories alive. Mom always said that without the families saving the artwork and saving the stories and remembering everything, the Ghost Army would not be able to be what it is. So this is for them as well.
Well, Jess, we owe a lot to your mom, Liz Sales. I will always remember her passion, her talent, her sense of humor, her refusal to put up with any bullshit, mine or anybody else's. I am so happy that she was part of this. And I am so glad that you could join us here today so she could be part of this program as well. Thank you so much.
And thank you.
So great to remember Liz Sales. We're going to come back to our veterans in just a few minutes to hear their thoughts about all this outpouring of acclaim for what they did. But we have one last contribution beforehand. A lot of credit for the gold medal success goes to the Ghost Army Legacy Project Board of Directors, who've been quietly laboring for years to make this happen. They are the unsung, mostly uncredited heroes of this push, and I want to introduce them and give them a chance to say a few words. With me are Richard Mark, chairman of the board. Richard is an attorney in New York City with a long-time interest in history, and we have known each other since we went to Dartmouth nearly 50 years ago, sorry to say, working on the college radio station there. Carla Fortman is our treasurer. After a career in nursing, she became an entrepreneur and has been very active in the Lexington, Massachusetts Historical Society. And 2 of her 3 sons are former Navy SEALs, strong military connection there. Roy Icorn is a former director of research and development at the U.S. Army Combined Arms Center at Fort Belvoir. His stepfather, George Martin, served in the 603rd Camouflage Engineers, and Roy appeared in the Ghost Army documentary. And Carolyn Cagle's long and varied resume includes research, editorships, consultantships, and many honors. She is the daughter of Ghost Army veteran Joe Spence, who served in the 603rd, and she is joined by her mom here today, Carol Spence. And let's start with you, Carolyn. And Carol, you are family members of the Ghost Army veterans. And Carolyn, you did quite a bit of lobbying. So what a thrill this is, right?
Yes, I'm really excited that we've reached this point, the final leg, except for the actual creation of the medal. This is going to be kind of fun today to share how much I am humbled to be in the presence of Ghost Army veterans and their families, and also to have my mother with me. I am really ecstatic that finally the Ghost Army Congressional Gold Medal has reached President Biden's desk, and that those veterans can be honored for the incredible work that they did. My father, as Rick told you, was a member of the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops, and he is no longer with us. But my mother and I feel his spirit today, and certainly he is smiling down and feeling a sense of prideship that this medal has actually been signed into law. I also want to give a shout out to my colleagues on the Ghost Army Legacy Project Board, because they have enlivened my life and also connected me more to my father, and also allowed incredible adventures for me in the last years that I've been a member of the board. I have loved the lobbying, as tedious as it was, but as many things in life are, you just have to keep persisting and eventually you will win the game. So congratulations to everybody for a work well done. And also I'm pretty proud of being the implementer of the first Ghost Army Recognition Day in Missouri. That was last June 6th. Governor Parsons has signed legislation that will allow that to occur every year on June 6th. So we're busy working on that again for this coming summer's event. So I'll give the show now to my mother sitting next to me.
So yes, My husband was Joe Spence. He served in the 603rd Camouflage Engineers. And I know that he was very happy about his small part in defeating the Nazis and everything that they stood for. Our family knows how impressed Joe was with the way the Germans treated their prisoners. And he would describe how they had sunken eyes and cheeks. Their skin hung loosely on their bodies. And after all that horror that he saw in a few tough years, he was able to come up, get back to a normal and mostly normal and kind life.
Well, thank you, Carol, and thank you, Carolyn. Those lovely, lovely sentiments there from you guys. And of course, it was my pleasure to know Joe Spence, who was in the documentary, and to be able to interview him about his stories. And I only wish he could be here to see this. So it's great that he and his fellow soldiers are being honored there. And I think you're holding up one of his artworks from the war, because he was one of the artists who served in the Ghost Army.
Yes.
I am going to move on to Roy Icorn. Roy, you and I spent many, many hours working, traipsing the halls of Capitol Hill, buttonholing congressional staff. I'm sure that, like me, you wondered if this day would ever come. And yet, Roy, here it is.
Thanks, Rick. This is an amazing outcome, and one that my dad would never have imagined. Everybody knew him as an artist who had a fondness for cats and photography. Only we knew that always lurking behind there was a soldier. Rick, when you first floated the idea of trying to get a Congressional Gold Medal, seemed a reasonable thing. Luckily, we didn't know that experts thought it was nearly impossible. And the early days were really tough. It took an extraordinary amount of effort just to get a single co-sponsor, and we needed hundreds of them. Luckily, we learned, we got better, and as time went on, we got to where we could involve others. We had to know enough to be able to pass it on and work with others, and they became something of an extended family. I don't think if it had just been Rick and I, we would ever have managed to pull this off. It did take everyone involved to make it happen. Here we are. For years, our goal was to inform people about the Ghost Army. This is a step further. Now we can actually honor the veterans for what they did as young men. This was something my dad always emphasized, was we were just kids. This is really, for my dad and all his fellow soldiers, congratulations.
Thank you so much, Roy. Carla Fortman, you and I met at Lexington, Massachusetts Buckman Tavern a few weeks after I started working on the Ghost Army documentary 17 years ago. I just looked that up. That's why I know that, what that date is. So what a long, strange trip it's been. And you did a lot of letter writing on behalf of the Gold Medal Bill, a lot of work on lobbying on this. And so I'm sure this is exciting for you as it is for me.
It is. It's unbelievable. I wish to congratulate the veterans and their family members for receiving this well-deserved award from our nation's government, the Congressional Gold Medal. Their creative and clever efforts of many men went into the deceptive maneuvers that tricked the German army in World War II. And until the 1990s, when these records were declassified, the story has slowly emerged. And a great record now exists at ghostarmy.org of their drawings, letters, thoughts, and musings for all to experience. The World War II Museum in New Orleans houses and curates their archival materials. An award-winning film documentary tells their story. A book chronicles their efforts. There are 2 European markers at the Ghost Army engagement sites, one in Bettenberg, Luxembourg, and another in Plennebec, if I've said that correctly, Brittany, France. And this high honor was achieved through the efforts of many, many individuals, and at one time seemed an almost impossible goal. I wish to salute all those individuals for their sustained effort, and most especially I applaud Rick for his passion, focus, and energy that kept our eyes on this particular prize for those veterans that he came to know personally and to cherish their individual stories. Thanks, Rick.
Well, thank you very much, Carla. Richard Mark, you were an early supporter of the Ghost Army documentary. You've been a big part of this journey all the way from the beginning up until now. And so what are your thoughts as we contemplate what we have accomplished here?
There's an oft-used and oft-quoted treatise by a Chinese general from eons ago, Sun Tzu, The Art of War. And in The Art of War, he notes that all war is based on deception. But I don't think in The Art of War, he ever writes about actual art in war. And one thing that is so interesting about this story is the unique skills that the Ghost Army troops brought to the battlefield, as is noted in the documentary. They didn't carry guns, they didn't have howitzers, they were out there designed to be sitting ducks, and the incredible bravery of that, this bunch of various types of artists and camoufleurs and sound engineers and whatever, doing something so unusual on the battlefield to save lives. You introduced all of us to many of the veterans over the years. Getting to know them was quite special. And what we got to know, apart from the history of the unit, was the record that they made as they crossed Europe after D-Day, in their watercolors, in their sketches, in their other drawings of the countryside, of the lives, of the devastation after the war, and so on. So seeing all of that, apart from the actual work that the Ghost Army did, gives everyone a special insight, an additional insight into what was going on in that time in World War II. As for the gold medal effort, it was really a heroic lift. And I think we all ought to understand here what it means for the Ghost Army veterans and the Ghost Army unit to be recognized in this way. The types of World War II efforts that are otherwise recognized by the gold medal include things that people know about and have known about for years and were well recognized long before they achieved that recognition. Things like the OSS, the Tuskegee Airmen, the Navajo Code Talkers. The Ghost Army now joins that pantheon of gold medal awardees. It's a recognition that's well deserved, and it is so great that we still have veterans, very few, but actual veterans who are there to appreciate that their country has recognized them at last, and what it means to them and their families, I imagine, is really wonderful.
So much, and I totally second that thought, that it's a great group of people there with in that gold medal hall. I want to thank all of you guys for your financial support, your moral support, your commitment and passion to this project, and each of you has been a big part of this. Each of you should take credit for it. And I hope everyone watching today will join me in thanking you for what you have done on behalf of the Ghost Army as I thank you right now. So thank you very much, everybody. So apologies too for a little technical difficulty at the beginning of that, where I apparently was interrupting myself. So if we can bring the group shot on and see everybody here. We've done a lot of talking at you guys, but now you know what everybody thinks of you, and it turns out that it's good. So I wanted to give you all the last word in this, and I'll start, Bernie Bluestein, I'll start with you, and any thoughts that you would like to share with us as we come to the end, towards the end of this.
Well, this has had a tremendous effect on me. I really never expected this to ever happen. That in all my years, I've been talking about this for a long time, but I'm very sorry that only a few of us are left to appreciate this, and all the rest of the soldiers can't feel the recognition and hear and see the recognition. I would like to mention one person. He was in my outfit. He was from Cleveland, Ohio, and he was in a different company, so I didn't see him too often. But his name was Marion Pistorcich, and I'd like to bring up his name as being one of the people who really should be here to hear this, and I'm sure his family is listening and will probably get some benefits out of it.
Yes, and I know his family, and I imagine they are watching, and so appreciate that shout out. Thank you so much, Bernie Bluestein. And Seymour Nussenbaum, since you served with Bernie 78 years ago, I'll let you talk adjacent to Bernie here today.
There's not much I can say that Bernie hasn't said. It's a great honor to be recognized for what we did. Although at the time we didn't think it was that great, but we found out it was. I don't know.
Okay, but that's good, and we appreciate that. And Seymour, appreciate your service in the 603rd Camouflage Engineers as well. George Dramas, I wanted to give you another chance here to say a few words if you want, after hearing kind of what a lot of folks have said here.
Yeah, well, Rick, I want to thank you, first of all, for you've done an awful lot of work for the 23rd headquarters, all this stuff that's been going on. You've been working on it for years. And I think we all appreciate that. You've done a heck of a job. And it's nice to be awarded this medal now and to be acclaimed. And I certainly have been in many ways. And I was proud to serve in the U.S. Army, no matter what outfit I would have been in. But it was a good unit. We did our job. And I'm proud to be a part of it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, George Dramas. And Nick Leo, there in New York. Can you share a few thoughts with us here?
Well, I see more. I don't know if you remember, we were part of the photo shoot. Only two of us left from that. And when Rick gave us the book in New York, I think there's only two of us left now, me and you. I'm proud that I was a part of this. I never expected anything like this. But the guy that deserves a lot of credit is Rick Beyer. Without Rick Beyer, we never would have had this thing. He was the thing that made it happen. And all you guys, I respected every one of you like brothers. I'm glad I was in the Ghost Army.
Well, thank you so much. Nick, thank you so much. I'm going to ask John Christman to say a few words. John, if you're there and can have anything to say, this is the time.
Well, I never expected anything like this. And it's hard to put words on it because you guys did a lot of work to get it for us. It only took 77 years. But really, it is great that they did recognize it, and it was quite a feat that we accomplished, and we enjoyed doing it. Especially when we could listen to Berlin Sally, she would give us a lot of information that we really were successful.
Well, John, thank you so much. And John, it's also a pleasure to make your acquaintance since we did not even, we had not connected with you until just very, very recently. So it's so pleased to find out you're out there and be able to speak with you about this. I want to go to Bill Knowles, and Bill and Nancy down there in Florida. If Nancy, you can let Bill know he can say a few words.
You want to say a few words?
I've said it before. All the ghosts still alive. Maybe they have a good life.
Thank you so much, Bill. Thank you so much, Bill Knowles. Bill served in the Ghost Army, and pleasure to have those words from him. Okay, I don't think that we have heard yet from Mark Milardi. So, Mark, I'll give you the floor.
Yeah, I just want to add something I forgot to say before. General Patton gave the Ghost Army credit for having such a low casualty crossing. And with our effort that helped have, it was a successful crossing of the Rhine, which was very important at the time. And thank everyone for all their work that was done on this project.
Well, thank you, Mark. And I did get to everybody, right? I didn't leave any of you out, did I? I'm just checking. I think everybody got a chance to speak. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us today. And I want to make a pledge to you. I'm not done interfering in your lives because I am going to try to visit each one of you, each of the surviving veterans this spring, and make a special presentation to you personally regarding the gold medal. And so more on that coming in the next few weeks. This has been an incredible experience today. It's been very emotional for me. And I do want to offer a few closing thoughts. First of all, a vote of thanks to all the people who have been and continue to be part of the Ghost Army journey. And that really includes every one of you who's watching. I've joked that I'm going to spend the next 2 years writing thank you letters, and I think that's absolutely true. There's no way I can thank everyone today, but wow, you guys are amazing. Please know that you are in my hearts and in the hearts of these veterans. And a special shout out to Marilyn Ray Beyer, my editor, colleague, consultant, therapist, and incidentally my wife of 35 years. She's been here every step of the way as well. This is her victory too. History is what we choose to remember, and we owe it to ourselves as a people to remember this story, to make sure that this story endures as an example and inspiration. To mark as heroes these men who employed wits and guile to save lives and win the war. To remember that sometimes it is the crazy idea that wins the day. To remind ourselves that creativity, performance, and art are not just for entertainment or recreation, they are critical tools in the human endeavor. To embrace the idea that saving even one life is a noble cause. The Ghost Army teaches all this stuff and more. 500 years ago, the political philosopher Machiavelli wrote these words: "Though fraud in all other actions be odious, yet in matters of war it is laudable and glorious." Gentlemen of the Ghost Army, your story is laudable and glorious, and I hope they'll be telling it forever. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
The Ghost Army Gold Medal Celebration.